we've invited Danielle Cohen Higgins back to start your day this morning to weigh in for us. She's a trial attorney who runs her own practice in Miami-Dade County. Good morning to you and welcome back.
Good morning.
The jurors,
good morning.
Good morning. Some of the jurors squirmed here. They looked away. Who could blame them as graphic evidence was presented by this crime scene investigator who's also on the stand. Tell us, does this hurt or help the prosecution, so much of this graphic evidence?
This helps the prosecution. I mean, on day two, it's certainly the prosecution's case to lose at this point. I mean, the evidence right now is overwhelming, and Officer Ricky Minshew revealed a lot of evidence and testimony against William Roddy Bryant, including it was asked, did Mr. Bryan say that he was chasing or was he just a passerby? And he said to Officer Minshew, no, not necessarily. I wasn't just a passerby. He said that he had blocked or attempted to block Ahmaud Arbery 5 separate times. And yes, Ahmaud Arbery tried to get into his truck. But why would Ahmaud Arbery try to get into his truck? Bryan said because he was tired. He was tired. He was on foot, and these three men were in two separate trucks. What's worse is that Officer Ricky Minshew said that he arrived on the scene just 1 minute after he heard those gunshots. That means if these three men were intending to effect a citizen's arrest, all they had to wait was 1 more minute for law enforcement to arrive, but they didn't. Instead, Ahmaud Arbery lost his life. It's tragic. It's tragic.
Yeah, it's tragic. The testimony, the pictures, the videos, once again, as Sharon mentioned, very graphic, hard to look at. And you said it's in the prosecution's best interest, and right now it's their case to lose because of all that information, all that evidence they have there. But is there a limit that you would want to show the jury just because of how the graphic nature of those pictures and those videos, not to turn them off in any kind of way?
Yeah, this is tough. This is going to be tough for any jury, not to mention Ahmaud Arbery's mother, Wanda Cooper Jones, and his father. It's my understanding that his father couldn't take it and he got up and he left the courtroom. But this evidence is critical. This is Ahmaud Arbery. He was laying face down in his own blood that was growing. This is what Officer Minshew testified. And I'm with Wanda Cooper Jones, the mother of Ahmaud Arbery, when she said, why didn't someone help my baby? Why didn't Officer Minshew even attempt to help him? Because Ahmaud Arbery was still breathing when the officer arrived at the scene. So these are graphic photos. These are gunshot wounds that killed this young man. But this jury has to see this critical evidence in this case because these three men decided that it was worth taking this man's life, right, over the allegation of their claim of protecting, their neighbor's property. And so I'm sure it paints a very clear picture for this jury that it was a horrific decision that these men made. And so I think the prosecution had a good day on day two.
Yeah, I know it's outside of this case. And I want to go back to the fact that he did not render aid once he was on the scene. Did he have a legal obligation as an officer, even though he heard a death rattle, even though he felt like there was nothing he could do for Ahmaud Arbery to try to render any kind of assistance to him?
Yes, so Officer Minshew indicated that he could not secure the area and that it was for safety reasons that he did not render aid, and he didn't feel like he was trained medically to render the aid that he had decided that Ahmaud Arbery needed. So he made the professional decision to wait for additional support to arrive. The question is going to be for this police department, is that standard protocol? Is that how these officers are trained? If it turns out that that's not the case, then obviously that's problematic for Minshew. If it's exactly in accord with his training, then Officer Minshew did exactly what he was trained to do. But as the mother of Ahmaud Arbery or anybody watching that can just imagine their son lying in a pool of blood, gasping for air, and this officer hearing what he called the death rattle, that is gut-wrenching because as a parent, you're thinking, my God, my child could have had a chance and didn't receive any help.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that first officer on the scene who claimed to be watching his back and wasn't aware of what was going on, he didn't seem to have fear of the three defendants. Mr. Bryan specifically, he had no fear of him. So there's that aspect of it, and I wonder if you can comment on that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I certainly can't insert myself into the mind of Officer Minshew, but the evidence that was revealed yesterday was that of him having conversation with these three men and speaking with them as he arrived on the scene and asking them about what happened. So his interest and his focus seemed to be on them and getting their side of the story, as opposed to a dying young man laying on the floor. And again, I don't know whether he was trained to render aid, but there is no evidence to suggest that he was in any way fearful of the men or of the man, Travis McMichael, in this instance, who pulled the trigger and shot the man lying on the floor in his own blood. And obviously, that's going to raise questions of curious. Why wouldn't you be afraid? Why wouldn't you be afraid of a man that took a long arm to someone's chest three times, causing him to lose his life?
Mm,
It certainly raises questions.
mm,
Self-defense is a claim here
mm.
that these defendants, one or all, will use to attempt to escape this ultimate charge that they're up against. And I wonder if, because attorneys such as yourself will tell us that cases are won and lost based on how a crime scene is processed. There was no looking, searching the area, and these defendants, it's going to be implied, if it wasn't already yesterday, that perhaps Ahmaud Arbery threw something along his route. Perhaps he threw a weapon down. Is that something that the prosecution can overcome? Shoddy police work?
Well, that's always an excellent point. And here we have Officer Ramos, who was the crime scene investigator who arrived at the scene and documented and took photos. I don't know whether there is shoddy police work here by way of documenting the scene. But again, I do think on day two, after all the evidence that was revealed, it certainly was a strong case
Mm-hmm.
for the prosecutor. I think that the defense is going to have a very hard time arguing, at least after day one and day two, that these men were in fear of their life. Remember, Ahmaud Arbery was
Mm-hmm.
not armed. Ahmaud Arbery, it was not in the nighttime. What were they afraid of? Right? What were they afraid of? That he was going to take their property? They were in trucks. He was on foot. They clearly had the strength advantage over this young man. They cornered him anyway. They decided to pull out that long arm anyway, resulting in the loss of his life. It's really a tragedy. And again, I think it's the prosecution's case to lose. It's early. It's very early. Every day and every piece of evidence counts and matters. But right now, the prosecution is certainly doing their job.
Yeah, Danielle, they're claiming self-defense. They're also saying this whole citizen's arrest thing. But as you mentioned, Roddy admitted to Minshew that he cornered Ahmaud Arbery, that he ran him down 5 minutes running after this guy. This man turned around several times. He said he didn't even know the McMichaels, that he just picked a side. He just joined in. And he didn't even know. And he also told Minshew that should he be following him at all, because he didn't even know that Arbery had supposedly committed a crime. Did he just basically damn himself right there?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why Officer Minshew's testimony was so critically important, because it revealed William Roddy Bryant's state of mind and what he was thinking on February 23rd, 2020. He had no business there. He didn't know these people. He didn't know Ahmaud Arbery. I don't know if he felt like, hey, it was open season, let's go hunting. That seems to be in line with what this man was thinking. And if it is, then yes, he is damned, because you had no business blocking this man. You had no business chasing him down for 5 minutes. Listen, it would be different if it was three men running after Ahmaud Arbery, right? But Ahmaud Arbery got tired from being chased in trucks. This is highly problematic for the defense.
Mm.
William Roddy Bryant saying 5 different times, I blocked him, I tried to block him. He revealed his intentions. And again, the prosecution needs to stay on this, keep that pressure on, because right now the prosecution is doing their job.
Real quick, we're almost out of time, Attorney Higgins, but the demeanor, both of the witnesses, they both seem very cavalier, and perhaps that's just being professional and answering the questions, but particularly Minshew seemed to be shoulders slumped, and he had other things to do, although he did respond. But I want to talk about the demeanor of the defendants. As graphic images were shown of Ahmaud Arbery's bloodied body, holes blown through it, one of the defendants is taking notes, didn't even look horrified or concerned in any way. What does that speak to a jury as they have the right not to take the stand? Does that not testify to?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, any trial lawyer will tell you that any courtroom, your body language, your demeanor is just as much testimony as your words are, right? And so when this jury is squirming in their chairs, it's my understanding that one juror covered their face with their notepad. It was so difficult for them to
Mm,
view images, right? And these defendants are in a very cavalier manner taking notes. That doesn't send the message. However, right, in their defense, I'm sure their lawyers trained them well in saying, do not show signs of, sympathy, or not sympathy, excuse me, but guilt, or that
yeah.
you are affected by this, right? I'm sure that they were trained to keep a very steady demeanor throughout this trial, but I think it will hurt them because anybody with a heart, anyone that is a human, right? I'm affected watching this, and I have no
Mm-hmm.
relation whatsoever. If I'm the defendant and I'm being charged, it would be incredibly difficult for me, just from a human perspective, right, to not be incredibly affected by those photos.
Yeah, those images are terrible to watch. Just hard to
Yeah.
just digest at all this entire trial. It's only been on day two. Day three testimony begins today, starting at 9 Eastern Time. We'll take it to you live inside the courthouse once they begin. Danielle Cohen Higgins will be with us throughout the morning right here on Start Your Day. Thank you very much. We'll see you a little bit later on
Thank
in the
you.
show.